This past weekend, All Elite Wrestling presented Double or Nothing in Las Vegas, Nevada, and in this case, the Fatal 4-Way match, it wasn't the main event, it was for the World's Heavyweight Championship, a Fatal 4-Way involving the four quote-unquote pillars of AEW, where MJF retained his championship in spectacular and witty fashion over the likes of Darby Allin, Jungle Boy Jack Perry, and Sammy Guevara. Congratulations to Sammy Guevara and Ty Mello because they're having a baby pretty damn soon. So that's always great news. That added a little special ingredient to this matchup because out of nowhere you had fans pulling for Sammy Guevara to win this match, and that's just what the good human being in us would do. But make no mistake about it, this entire Fatal 4-Way match, there was no doubt in anybody's mind that MJF was going to walk out still AEW World's Heavyweight Champion. Spectacular match, by the way. Every single superstar in the bout had their moment to shine. I specifically like that spot where all four of the men hit their mentor's finisher. I believe it started with Darby Allin. It started with Sammy Guevara. He hit the code breaker. Then Darby Allin hit the Scorpion Death Drop. Then Jungle Boy hit the kill switch. And finally, MJF hit the Crossroads in that four-way finisher sequence of the ages. Because that's a moment that I literally popped for. Not only that, the four-way submission, that entire train or circle that they formed in the middle of the ring. There were so many aspects of this match that made it so entertaining, that made it worth watching. And that pretty much confirmed to wrestling fans, to Tony Khan, that based purely on wrestling ability, based purely on what they can do inside the squared circle, each and every single one of these four men deserve to be in the main event. Each of these single one of these men deserve to be fighting for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. And MJF allowing Darby Allin to hit a death drop, coffin drop, on Sammy Guevara, I believe. He slides his world title right there, right before Darby Allin drops, causing him to hit the championship. And then with a takeover of sorts, MJF gets the win. Brilliant from the self-proclaimed devil, where he once again retains the championship. And I will say this. I know I said that there was no doubt MJF was going to walk out the world champion. But out of the other three men, out of all the three challengers, Darby Allin was the closest in my mind to dethroning MJF for the world title. Not by a landslide, not even a 2%. I think he had a 1% chance of dethroning MJF, but he had the 1% chance over Jungle Boy and Sammy Guevara in my mind. But again, now we have to move on in terms of who's going to challenge MJF next for the AEW World's Heavyweight Championship. And once again, we are left with the fact that they don't have challengers lined up for MJF. Now, this might change tonight on Dynamite. For all I know, Adam Cole might just switch up and go after MJF, which I doubt, because his feud, his rivalry against Chris Jericho is far from over. As a matter of fact, tonight on Dynamite, he's tagging with Dr. Britt Baker against Chris Jericho and Saraya in a mixed tag team match. That's obviously going to keep going till Forbidden Door, possibly. Till past Forbidden Door, possibly even. So I don't think Adam Cole is currently lined up to challenge for the World Championship. The fact of the matter is, the BCC won the Anarchy in the Arena match. Complete mayhem, berserk kind of match. But none of those men, Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, Hangman Adam Page, Kenny Omega, they're going to keep going at one another. They're not going to be challenging MJF for the World Championship anytime soon. CM Punk isn't returning, if at all, until the debut episode of Collision on June 17th, which leaves about 2.5 weeks for MJF to maybe take some time off, which he's pretty fond of because he said this during the media scrum. He said this multiple times. He's an attraction. He's the world champion. He wrestles and he appears whenever he deems it fit and whenever it is a special occasion for him to do so. So I could see him taking tonight off. I could see him taking next week off. And then eventually, maybe CM Punk shows up and challenges MJF for the World Championship. Something that we were going to see last year when CM Punk won the World Championship. And then MJF, well, we all know the story. His contract talks with Tony Khan fell off. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens right then and there. As far as some comments that Ricky Starks has made online about the 4 pillars, look, I'm a fan of Ricky Starks. Could he be in a one-on-one title feud with MJF in the future? Sure. The problem is MJF already beat him late last year. The problem is Ricky Starks has no momentum on AEW TV right now. So how the hell does he challenge for the World Championship? So that entire argument about Ricky Starks challenging for the title again, completely mute. And his thoughts about the 4 pillars, bro, it's a moniker. It's a way of putting guys over. It's a way of putting a match or a moment or a segment or something special over in AEW. You don't have to take it so seriously because he said that he feels disrespected about the fact that they're considered the 4 pillars and nobody else helped AEW get to where it is. That's not a fact. That's not the fact. It's just a moniker. It's just something that you throw out there for marketing purposes. And I'll go back to the same argument I made with WWE. If you take it personally, if you take it as secondary, if you take it like you're not given, if you're not valued in the same way, just based off of those comments, to me, that's being petty. Because you know your worth. You know your value. You don't need somebody else to put you over. You don't need somebody else to give you your flowers in order for you to go and do your job to the fullest of your capability. And if you want to complain and bitch and moan about 4 pillars, about not being considered in that, about being quote-unquote disrespected about that, that's on you, bro. Figure it out. Figure it out. In the meantime, MJF, still world champion after Double or Nothing. Right call, right move, obvious move. Now we have to wait and see what kind of challengers they line up for MJF. Because he's in dire needs of a high-profile feud for the world title. With that said, we also had the return of Chris Statlander. That's right, Stat came back and she challenged Jade Cargill in an impromptu TBS Championship match. The second of the night after Jade Cargill made relatively short work of Taya Valkyrie, got her 60-0 win, and then finally lost. Her streak has come to an end at Double or Nothing at the hands of Chris Statlander. And if you know me, if you followed me for the past few months, you know that I was not expecting this to happen. You know that I wouldn't have gone this route. I know a lot of fans out there will love Chris Statlander, and I love her too. But here's the thing. Chris Statlander, her moment was returning. Great. Her winning the TBS Championship, fantastic. But she did it against Jade that already had a match. A Jade that had already put in the work to put out Taya Valkyrie for the TBS title. Meaning Chris Statlander, a babyface, opportunist, got the win. She's the new champion over a weekend Jade Cargill. So in all of that, Chris Statlander's return and title win are pretty much in the same vein. They mean the same at this point. You weaken Jade Cargill because she is no longer undefeated. And her streak is no longer going. So where do you go from here? Where do you go from here? AEW had a winning strategy with Jade Cargill's undefeated streak. Jade Cargill, the ultimate AEW women's homegrown talent at the moment. Undefeated, TBS champion. Have her go after the women's world champion. Not to unify the titles, but just because she is a top contender in the women's division. And the TBS championship, with all due respect, is a mid-card title in the women's division. And if the AEW ranking system matters in any in any kind of way, Jade should be long overdue a world championship match against Jamie Hayter or against now Toni Storm, who won the women's world championship in a storyline that does not prioritize the women's world title at the moment, because that storyline between the Outcasts and the AEW homegrown women is not about the women's world championship. It's about getting to blood and guts, which I'm all for. But the titles should be at the forefront. And now you've weakened Jade Cargill's character because she lost. You haven't strengthened Chris Statlander's character that much because she returned and beat a weakened opponent who already had a match at the pay-per-view. So again, questionable booking, questionable creative decision in my opinion, on Tony Khan's part. We'll just have to wait and see how this plays out on Dynamite, on Rampage in the coming weeks. Again, I might be wrong. If I am wrong, leave it in the comment section below. If I am wrong, we'll just have to wait and see what transpires with All Elite Wrestling as well. Anarchy in the Arena. The BCC got the win in the most craziest, most berserk match imaginable in AEW. Every single time. I'm hoping every single year, just like TNA had with Lethal Lockdown, AEW brings us Anarchy in the Arena match every single year. Once a year, at the very least. Granted, they have to build the storyline and the characters to get to that point, and they did so with the BCC and the Elite in this case. But, like I said earlier, this feud, this rivalry, this fight, this war between the BCC and the Elite is far from over. Especially when Takeshita came out and turned on Kenny Omega to help, to aid the BCC and get the victory over the Elite. So then we'll just have to wait and see who comes out and joins the fight with the Elite. Who else comes out to fight against the brand new BCC that now includes Takeshita, that now includes that slimeball Don Callis? Which is unfortunate because, like I said, this particular feud has at least 4 men. Well, 3 men, not including Bryan Danielson, who MJF already beat. This rivalry has 3 men that should be fighting it out to challenge MJF for the World Championship. Not in this kind of war, but again, lack of planning. We'll just have to wait and see. Again, these are just creative gripes I have currently with this entire situation in AEW. I think that they should work on that particularly. But again, like I said, the talent on hand, whenever you put all this talent together for these 10 matches, 11 matches advertised for the pay-per-view, it works. It's a fantastic show. It's a little long at 11 matches. But again, it just so happens to be, that's just the way I see it. And finally, we got Wardlow ending Christian Cage for the TNT Championship. Christian Cage loses one hell of a ladder match at Double or Nothing, where Wardlow just did not care. He did not care what happened to his body. He did not care what happened to his health. He wanted to retain the TNT Championship at all costs. He put his body on the line. He destroyed Christian Cage in that match. And he retained the TNT Championship. Now, would I love for Wardlow to challenge for the AEW World Championship? Absolutely. The story is there for him to face off against his former employer in MJF, take his World Championship away from him. But if you were going to do that, then you don't give Wardlow the TNT Championship once again. You keep that title on Powerhouse Hobbs. You keep that championship on somebody who can actually elevate that title. And not Wardlow, who should already be in the main event scene, who should already be in main event high-profile feuds, not fighting over a glorified TV championship. Again, fantastic match, fantastic ladder match. Added so much to the pay-per-view at Double or Nothing. I just feel like they've got to move their pieces around in terms to really get the most out of each and every single one of these feuds. Like Ricky Starks, Jay White was in a battle royal for the International Championship. The International Championship in a battle royal, defended in a battle royal. Again, that's poor planning on their part, in my opinion. Again, it's just creative gripes. The storylines aren't clicking in AEW, and I think that's why the ratings have gone down. I think that's why interest has waned down on AEW. The talent in-ring wise is there. There's no doubt about that. If you give us compelling storylines with compelling characters involving these highly prestigious championships in the best scenarios possible, AEW can give WWE a run for their money. But the fact of the matter is, there is no creative direction. There is no organization in terms of how you get to storylines, how you get to where you want to be in terms of places. And that's my main gripe with AEW at the current moment in time. That and the fact that they choose to keep doing these unnecessary gimmicks inside of gimmicks. Like the International Championship being defended in a damn battle royal. Like the entire Adam Cole versus Chris Jericho unsanctioned match, which was a disaster. A disaster to the point that I don't really want to talk about it because it was so damn bad. It really put Adam Cole in the worst kind of footing going forward. Just based on how badly they booked the match. And that's something that WWE has done with The Fiend and Bray Wyatt in the past. They focus more on the big spots, the big ooh-ah moments, the gimmicks in the matches, when the fact of the matter is those moments should be reserved for the build-up, for promos, for segments, not for the actual matches, where we, as wrestling fans, just want to watch two guys fight. We just want to watch these people wrestle and put on a show. No need for theatrics when you are in the middle of a match. As simple as that. And that goes for that stupid, idiotic firework super kick that the Young Bucks threw in that match. Great visual? Yes. Surprising? Yes. Effective? Absolutely not. And again, that's another common trait with AEW. Most of their moves, fantastic finishing signature moves. They should be devastating. They should be finishers in these matches, and they're just continuation. They're just continuation in the match, and then we end the match with a roll-up or some other cop-out to protect both stars, and that's just, again, completely. So with that said, again, I know I've been touching upon a lot of pet peeves and little things that I didn't enjoy about this pay-per-view. Fact of the matter is, AEW delivered. They delivered with Double or Nothing, as they always do with pay-per-views. It's always entertaining. The talent is there. I will never get tired of saying that because it is truly there. But much like TNA back in 2011, 2012, creative needs to get on point. Otherwise, the talent is wasted. So with that said, those are my thoughts on Double or Nothing. We've got Forbidden Door right around the corner. We got Collision right around the corner, or possible CM Punk return. I'm hoping Forbidden Door is a much more cleaner pay-per-view in the fact that there shouldn't be that many gimmicks and that much dirty finishes in terms of overbooked messes. So with that said, leave your thoughts, comments, and predictions for the future of AEW on the comment section below. I'm Alexis Carrillo. This has been Wrestling Talk. Tune in later on tonight to TBS for another episode of Live Wednesday Night Dynamite from San Diego, California, just down the road, 2 hours away from where I live. With that said, see you next time.